Has anybody else noticed that, especially after the pandemic, there is this worldwide global sense of inertia among the general population? People don't really know how to restart. It's almost like we've hit a wall in a lot of ways, and a lot of people are almost in a, I guess it's a panic, like fear response, like a freeze trauma response. I think a lot of us blocked the pandemic out in many ways because it was so traumatic. It was so out of the norm, so out of our realm of everyday, that the vast majority of us have just sort of brushed it aside. And what has kind of happened, I've noticed, is so many people are now having this crisis, this we don't really know where to go from here. I know with myself as well, like the world, like it stopped. Everything just stopped. And a lot of people don't know how to get back into reality and start living again. If you think about, especially the children in schools at the time being taken out of schools and separated from their peers in their most formative learning and social learning years as well. Like, it was so alienating, and so many of us were on screens, scrolling, doom scrolling, trying to escape this sense of dread. Because it was an awful time. I don't know if anybody else has noticed it, but there's this energy about the world now where everyone's kind of walking in a daze, like this really sleepwalk state for so many people. Like, they're still getting up, going to work and stuff, but they don't really, I don't know, the whole energy's totally different. I don't know if I don't think I am just reading into it, but if anyone else can relate as well, like noticing that the majority of the population is just sedated now. Like there's such a, we don't talk about it, we don't want to think about it, like don't bring that up. It was just so traumatic for so many people that I don't think people know how to get back to a baseline. So how do you get out of this rut, whether it was COVID related or if it's a personal relationship related or your marriage or your long career has ended, like whatever it is, whatever stability that was there and is now being ripped out from under you, how do you get back on track without freezing and going, I don't know what to do? Because this is what so many of us end up doing, is when something goes wrong for us or something changes so dramatically, we go into this freeze trauma response because we don't know how to process it and we don't really understand it. Because oftentimes, even when we are working, we get home from work and we're just trying to decompress. We're just scrolling and we're just looking at mindless media to try to take our mind off the day and our mind off the fact that we have to repeat this day for over and over and over again for years and years and years. That's a really depressing thought. So a lot of people will be trying to numb themselves, and we try to numb ourselves with technology, social media, substances, whatever you think, like addictions. We're all trying to cope in so many ways that there's this worldwide sense of numb. Like, we don't want to think. We want to turn our brains off and just put it in a vat and let it just ferment overnight and then put it back in, go about the day. We don't want all this constant stimulation and all this meaningless work that we don't value. There's nothing intrinsically meaningful spending the best years of our lives working for people that, just working for a paycheck at a job we don't feel fulfilled by. So what do we do with this? Like, what is the answer? How do you change your direction? How do you course correct? Because what happens with the majority is you get comfortable. You get comfortable doing something that you know how to do because it's reliable. You clock in at a job you've done for 10, 15 years, like you know what the job is, you know what's expected of you. You may not like it, you may actually detest it, but you know what you need to be doing. As the days go on and you're just living Groundhog Day over and over again, like there's this sense of emptiness that follows. There's this sense of, is this really all there is to life? As our culture is so hustle culture, work dominated, like we have been told our whole lives, if you want something, you work hard for it. But I think that idea can be quite outdated now. I think to be successful, you need to work smart, not necessarily hard, because some of the hardest working people I know, they're still living paycheck to paycheck years on. Like, hard work does not necessarily equal success. Hard work shows that, yes, you can keep pushing through something, but it doesn't guarantee success, and it doesn't guarantee that you're going to get what you actually want out of the situation. I think the younger generations have woken up to this. The older generations, I think, still predominantly believe to work hard is to, I can understand, I think it's a good value to instill in people, but I think in today's society it can be quite outdated. Like, to get ahead in life, you need to work smart, not necessarily hard. A lot of my generation, I'm a millennial, and a lot of Gen Z as well, like, we're questioning the status quo, and we're going, hang on a minute, we've watched our parents work hard their whole lives and they've only just been scraping by. What's going on? We've been told that to work hard equals success, but it's not happening. So what's going on here? I think it's terrifying for so many people to look at how life has always gone and just noticing now that, hang on, this actually is not the Australian dream, the American dream, wherever you're from. It's not this thing that I've been promised. I feel like it's a lie. I feel like I've been duped by something. I feel like it's all been made up to keep me in the hamster wheel. And thankfully, a lot of people are now waking up to this, realizing they're spending the best years of their lives working for someone else in a job that they hate. It's true, you need money to live on this planet. That's just the facts. But the way you can go about it can be totally different. As humans, we like to be comfortable. We don't like to be in pain. We don't like to be pushed out of our comfort zone. We don't like friction. We don't like conflict. We don't like things that are new and scary to us. That throws us right off. But to get to where you want and to actually look inside yourself and figure out what it is from life that you desperately crave, I think you do need to go inside yourself and ask those questions. I think we have a lot more control and say in our lives than what we've been told. I think there is a formula that a lot of us live by, almost like a hive mind. And I think we can dictate a large portion of our lives and bring things into fruition. I don't think everything is left up to chance. I really don't. I think we control a large portion of our lives. And I think if you really truly believe something, so even in religion, so if you take Christianity for example, the whole basis of Christianity is faith. So faith is the belief in things that are not seen. So to have faith that something is going to happen is to believe so strongly that it happens. And I think you can take this out of a religious or spiritual context and just put it into everyday life. So for myself personally, I grew up Christian, but I would no longer identify as Christian. But there was a lot of backing behind that. When I was a little kid, for example, I had a lot of faith in things because that was what I was taught. I was taught if you really want something and you believe in something enough, it will happen for you. And a large portion of my childhood, if I'd intentionally manifested something to happen, it usually always happened. It was quite bizarre. I've got a lot of mixed feelings about Christianity and the church just from my own experience growing up in almost like a cult-like setting. So yeah, but I think there is some truth to it in that I think you can manifest what it is you want in life. And to do that, you need to get out of your comfort zone. You need to be willing to receive this thing. So many people have doubt. So many people have the sense of, it won't happen for me, I'm not going to get this, I don't deserve this, so people just let things happen to them. So I think there's a lot of truth in the fact that if you don't control your own life, somebody else will. And I think this is what happens to the majority of people. We let our bosses control our lives. We sometimes let our relationships or our close friendships control our lives. If we have a question about something, as humans, we tend to go to other people and ask what people's opinions are. And I think that that's fine. But what we're doing is we are outsourcing our intrinsic knowledge and wisdom to other people. I think it's good to get a sounding board from other people and a different opinion. But I think at the end of the day, we have to look within ourselves and figure it out for ourselves. I truly believe we have a lot more knowledge and wisdom in ourselves than what we give ourselves credit for. I think a lot of life doesn't happen to us. So I think that's why it's so easy for people to get caught in the 9 to 5 jobs and everything for the next, decades of their lives, because life just happens to us. This is life. This is how life goes. I don't necessarily believe that. I believe that we create what we want out of life. I'm someone I am quite nihilistic by nature. I don't think we come to Earth and having this grand purpose. I think that's quite a narcissistic view to take. I think as people, to create meaning in our lives, we assign purpose to things, but I don't necessarily believe there is some higher mission we're all meant to reach and come together and achieve all this as one giant unit of people. I don't think that's how life works. I think as individuals with individual personalities and skills and interests, I think our lives and what we assign our lives is what creates meaning. Whereas a lot of religions have the belief of, this is the purpose of life, this is the meaning of life. I think we all individually decide what is important for our own lives and what brings us fulfillment, because what brings one person fulfillment is not going to bring the next person fulfillment, because we're all different people. I think we all can complement each other and we can help each other and be strong where other people are weak, but I don't think we're necessarily all on this one grand mission together. I think there are groups of people in society who are on the same mission and the same path, but as a collective, as the whole population, I don't think we're assigned the same purpose for everyone. I think that is such a strange take to have. But because I don't necessarily believe that we are all born having a sense of purpose and we have to fulfill this in our lifetimes, I believe we assign meaning to nothing, to keep ourselves stimulated and occupied and to create a sense of purpose in our lives. I don't think there is that grandiose purpose that we're all meant to achieve. I think it's very deeply personal to all of us. And for some people, their purpose can be huge. They can have a really big goal in mind that they want to succeed at and reach. I think that's great. Other people, their purpose is a lot more quieter, smaller. I'm somebody, I think, who has that sort of purpose in life. The things that truly bring me joy, as you can already see from my channel, are the things that are simple. The things like slow living, simple living, to me creates a very strong sense of purpose for myself. But for example, my partner, that does not create the same sense of purpose for him. He needs to have some grand purpose to chase. That is important to him. That keeps him occupied and that keeps him motivated. I believe I can impact people in my circle, but I'm not necessarily going to go out there and shake people up and tell them to believe what I believe, because what I believe is not necessarily what someone else is going to believe, nor should they. They should not necessarily believe the things I have to say. The people who resonate with what I say are the people who have the same beliefs in life and the same sense of drive and purpose. That is their purpose as well, and that is what our community is. I believe we have chunks and congregations in life all on different paths. And these people find each other and they create a sense of unity and they create a small tribe. And I think that's how people are designed. We're meant to be in tribes. We're not necessarily meant to be in one big mass worldwide thing. Like even in tribes, you have rival tribes. So in today's society, the rival tribes will just be people who have different opinions and different sets of beliefs and a different purpose and mission in life. As long as you find what your purpose and mission is, I think that that is the most important thing. You need to find what brings you joy and what makes you feel alive. And I think a lot of that comes down to soul searching. A lot of that comes down to sitting in silence and figuring out who you are. Because as children, I think we have a pretty strong sense of identity. And as we get older, that gets crushed out of us, particularly as we enter school, the workforce, all these things. Individualism is not celebrated. Hive mind is. So when we are indoctrinated with what schooling teaches us, what our bosses are telling us, our main source of connection are our peers and our co-workers in the same environment, having the exact same experience that we are. So you're hearing from people in the same echo chamber. The echo chamber is it's feeding back what you've already been told over and over again. So you're getting solidified in this belief that what you believe is true. That's the answer. So this is why people get very heated about certain topics, particularly religion and politics, because they're in this echo chamber of this is right, this is right, this is right. You challenge that belief, look out. You challenge someone's beliefs or politics and you're in trouble. They don't like that, because what they've heard their whole lives is this is correct, this is what I believe, this is the truth. So people have such a sense of truth in themselves. They've got this sense of this must be right because I believe this. I'm having this experience, therefore everyone else should be having this experience. I think this is where we stuff up as humans over and over again, to just assume that just because you're having an experience and you believe something, that does not mean that you can push that onto the next person and go, well, this is what makes me happy, therefore this is what will make you happy. Even if you think back hundreds of years ago to like missionaries going into indigenous cultures and indoctrinating those cultures with their beliefs, they thought they were doing the right thing. To them, they were on this grand purpose. They were on this grand mission from God to convert people to their religion. They thought they were saving people. What that ended up doing with a lot of indigenous tribes was completely destroying them from the inside out and dismantling their entire belief systems, because they were being told by these people that what they believed was wrong and what these people believed was correct. So over time, from hearing it over and over and over again, they started to believe that too. We've pushed our ideologies onto the indigenous people who were originally here. And so what that has ended up doing is it's created massive substance abuse problems within the indigenous culture. And you can observe this all over the world. As soon as people came in here, started going, this is correct, you need to live our way, the people who had knowledge of the land, the people who had all of this spiritual wisdom, their own sets of beliefs, their own tribes, and their own way of doing things, were suddenly pushed out of that, gone, this is wrong, you can't do this anymore. And they're not faring well. Because what we've done is we have taken our beliefs, pushed them onto someone else and gone, now believe what we believe and do what we say. And what that's ended up doing, you see it time and time again. I don't think we are meant to all believe the same thing. I think we're all individuals and we all have something to bring to the table. But what we need to be seeking out are the people who share our beliefs, not going around pushing our beliefs on anyone who will listen. That's not the answer, not at all. If people want to seek out what we believe, they will come find us. People get to a point in their lives where they're ready to hear something else. A lot of people will go, I want to know more from life. I want to know different ways of thinking. And a lot of people do get to this point and they will seek out the things that resonate with them. We don't need to go across and push things onto them that they're not ready to receive yet. And I think this is something a lot of people struggle with. I think it comes from a good place a lot of the time. I think it comes from a place of empathy. But even with things like addiction and things like that, as someone who struggled with alcohol for pretty much a decade, the belief, I didn't see what I was doing to myself as necessarily a problem until it became a problem and I realized it. People were telling me all the time, you should cut back, I think you might have a bit of an issue, but I was not ready to hear it. So in the throes of addiction and in the throes of trying to cope, I had my own sets of beliefs that I just wasn't ready to hear it. And I think with people, when they're ready to receive a message, they will seek it out. They will be ready and they will be receptive. But if you push a belief on someone before they're ready to hear it, you're just going to have the opposite effect of what you're after. You're going to create tension and you're going to create avoidance. You're going to create this barrier and this boundary that this person's going to put up because they're not ready to hear it, and they're just going to keep pushing you away and pushing that away until eventually your message probably will not be received. And they might, when they're ready to receive something, they're going to go somewhere else and try to find another answer. So just don't push things on people. That's just what I'm trying to say here. But in a meaningful life, in our sense of wanting to belong and wanting to seek out like-minded people, we need to make a start. And particularly in today where, going back to the pandemic, we are in this state of global inertia. We're in this state of, we don't know where to go because we're scared. We are on edge and we are traumatized that what is going to happen next is going to be just as bad, if not worse. So rather than continue living our lives, we freeze. We put life on hold and we're trying to test out if it's safe. We're looking into the internet and we're looking into screens and we're looking into technology and all these things to distract ourselves from the fact that we are traumatized, and we've not fully addressed that as a population. As the pandemic kind of started during a lot of kids' formative years, they've not had that life experience to be able to go, okay, life will keep going and, you know, I can keep looking to the future. It's stunted a lot of people because there's all these things now to distract ourselves. We have all of this material and all of these things to keep us in inertia, and I think that that might be the whole plan, the whole point of it. What I think it's important is to know what it is you want out of life and to start going towards it. Even if you're scared, even if you don't fully know, make a step in a direction. We're scared of failure. That's a normal human trait. We don't want to fail. We want to succeed and we want to get to where we want to go. But part of the human experience is we will fail. We will stuff up. We will make mistakes. But it's how we handle those mistakes and what we do with that new knowledge. We need to keep moving forward. That's the thing. We're all kind of mass stuck at the moment. We're mass frozen, almost like a freeze frame image. We don't know where we're going. And if we are going, we're kind of just popping our heads out, going back in. Popping our heads out, going back in. We're not committing to things and we're not really engaging properly. I think we're scared. And I think this is going to have dire consequences in the years to come unless we somehow remedy that. We need to keep moving on with our lives and we need to keep moving forward. Find something and keep working towards it. Go towards something you're passionate about and get almost obsessive with it. Like, get so involved in the things that light you up and make you feel joy and happiness. Things that, you know, fill your spirit with gratitude and peace and a sense of purpose. Remember, we're not all on the same track in life. We're not all on the same path. We may be fortunate enough to come across other people who are on the same path that we are in life, but that's not the majority, and you need to remember that. We're not all destined to reach the same destination. We're all going in different directions. And that's okay. We need to remember that's okay. What's good for one person is not necessarily going to be good for the other person. So if you take anything out of this video, I would like you to write down on a piece of paper with a pen what your goals, what your passions are, and what you want to achieve, and give it a time frame. Manifesting things in life, I believe we put intentionality and mindfulness into those things, and by believing so strongly in them that they're already here, we bring them into existence. I really believe that. I believe we are capable of being the director of our own lives. As soon as we give that up and let other people run our show, that's where the problems start. That's when we start getting depressed. That's when issues creep up. Because we're not living our lives. Other people are living our lives. They're telling us what to do. I think once we realize our true sense of purpose and meaning in life, that's when we feel alive. That's when we feel a sense of fulfillment. So write it down. Write out a timeline. Write out the next, 1 year, 5 year, 10 year, 50-year goals. Plan it out and then start actively working towards it. It's proven that once you write down a goal, you are way more likely to fulfill that goal because you see it. Put it somewhere visible. Put it on your bathroom mirror. Put it on your closet door. Put it somewhere that you're going to see it every single day. And remind yourself, because as soon as we think something but don't write it down, it's out of our heads again so quickly, isn't it? So by putting intentionality and assigning life a meaning, we create meaning by default. So I think that's what we do. We have to assign life meaning because intrinsically, I believe, it doesn't necessarily have a sense of actual meaning, because I think our meanings and our purposes for each person is so different. The grand meaning out of life, I believe, is what we assign to it, what we create as purpose and what we find meaningful. And it's not always going to be the same thing that somebody else finds meaningful, and that's fine. But make a step, make a move in a direction. It doesn't matter if you fail. It doesn't matter if it doesn't work out. If it doesn't work out, try something else, but keep moving. This state of inertia, this state of stuck and freeze is not helping anyone. You need to keep moving in life. You need to keep a state of flow and movement, or you're going to get to an age where you are looking back at your life and you're just going to go, where did all that time go and what the hell did I do with my life? So if anything, I'm really encouraging you to really plan out your life and bring it into fruition. Manifest the things that you want out of life and truly believe that they're going to happen for you. Don't stay stuck. Keep moving forward, and you will be able to achieve and attain the things in life that you want. Thank you so much for watching, everybody, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.